Today on STEMsational, I will be speaking with Katharina Hopp. Katharina is the Corporate Vice President of IT and Consulting Lead for the Mobility Division at Robert Bosch. Katharina, welcome. Thank you for joining. So, Katharina, you're currently the Corporate Vice President of IT and Consulting Lead Mobility at Bosch. Could you just give me an overview of your role and a little bit about what your division does?
I'm now part of the corporate IT at Bosch, and I'm responsible for the global IT for the whole Bosch mobility solutions sector, meaning all of our automotive business and surroundings. This means this is roughly about a sector generating 40 billion of turnover in 120 locations. So me and my team making sure that our automotive divisions have everything they need to succeed.
Perfect. Must be a busy woman looking over 40 billion worth of business.
Yeah, it is. What I really love about that role is very diverse. You have everything in there, right? You have that classical enterprise SAP business that you know, but we're also supporting connecting the dots in our connected business and IoT business looking forward, helping our internal divisions to generate more turnover and digital business with their customers. So it is a little bit of everything, and it's even up to until the laptop I have in front of me. So I really love that broad spectrum of tasks and responsibilities we're having. That's fun.
And how many people are sort of in the division that you oversee at the moment?
We try to build it up in a very agile manner. That means we're roughly 20 to 30 people in this division, acting though on 400 to 500 people within the whole organization, making sure we deliver what our customers want.
Oh, fabulous. And you've been at Robert Bosch for quite a substantial amount of time, haven't you? How long have you been at Robert Bosch for?
Oh, it feels like forever. But basically, I think it is now year 16 already. I've started out there my professional career.
Yeah.
And whenever I tried or wanted to change jobs, I got a new offer. And the funny thing is, when I started at Bosch, I started out as a product manager for drill drivers. So
a bit different from what you're doing now, just ever so slightly.
Exactly, slightly different. Coming through different steps, and I think that is really the beauty of such big, diverse companies. A career like mine would rarely be doable, feasible in any other smaller company.
Yeah, and coming out of university, you studied economics, if I'm correct. Yeah. What made you go from university to pursuing a now 16-long-year career at Robert Bosch?
Oh, like usual in life, it's coincidence, right?
Yeah.
I was always thrilled by technology and manufacturing and that kind of precision and the B2B business, because I grew up in a family of engineers, and my father founded eventually his own company as a supplier to the automotive industry. So starting as a kid, I was very well familiar with the whole industry. And so when I did my studies, it became crystal clear to me that I want to work with people and that I also want to work with communication. So I ended up in product management and marketing. And also it was clear to me that I didn't feel like doing that for some, I don't know, like body lotion or something like that, but really something related to technology where you could convince people with the product and its quality, and not only where it's placed or what kind of promotion it is in. So I happened to start at Bosch as an intern, basically, doing an apprenticeship for several months. And then I learned about their fabulous trainee program, where you have a 2-year program running through different stations in the company, also going abroad. And that really thrilled me. And so I got started and got hooked kind of in the company.
Yeah, nice. Okay. So you said as well, so your interest in working in sort of the technology environment came from your family. So they were engineers as well?
Yeah, well, not all of them, but many of them. So, yeah, I think I was always a very curious person, and I loved the beauty of production machines running, how they interact with each other. I love the technology. I love the innovation technology generates, but also what my real passion is about how to drive that innovation and that technology from a customer point of view, because
Mm-hmm.
that is, to me, the real crucial part. I mean, technology is the one thing, right? It's an enabler. But in the end, to make it a successful product, service, or whatever, you need to really understand the customer and understand how technology can help your customer to make it actually happen and make it a success.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So the divisions that you've worked in and the industry as a whole that you've worked in is fairly male dominated. I think we can agree on that point. And you've had a 16-year-long career in it. Any challenges that you faced that you've overcame?
Well, personally, I would say, of course, that this feeling of being the only female in the room is very familiar to me. And I think it's the beauty of it being a female is you can play different roles, and you have to really understand all the time what kind of roles you play.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, this was not much of a challenge. I would rather say this was a learning along the way to say, how do you want to position yourselves? Do you, like a friend of mine put it the other day, do you want to wear a pink suit today because you want to stand out, or do you want to wear a black suit today because you want to melt in? And that is the beauty of being a woman. You can do that, right? I think the air to our male colleagues really do have a disadvantage in that. But the real challenge I faced was more, I would say, on a business level. I think the greatest challenge I've had in my career so far was when we had to wind down our mobility operations that I built up with a really powerful, engaged, highly motivated team.
Mm-hmm.
And then due to economic situation and also due to changes in strategy, we had to wind down that part of the business. And that was really tough for me because I had a lot of passion in that. And it also was for me very sad to see the team go and have these people working somewhere else where we luckily found a position for everyone. But this was maybe one of our toughest challenges so far.
Yeah. Okay. And there's no men currently working at Bosch that have turned up in a pink suit yet, or is that something that you are waiting to happen?
I'm not sure. I cannot talk for all of them. I haven't encountered one yet. Let me put it this way.
Yeah, I mean, men wear pink suits. It's definitely an option. However, I would look very much forward to seeing one of those for sure. Who have been your mentors along the way, would you say?
Actually, I think I had quite a couple of mentors, different ones. We have at Bosch, especially for talented females on their way doing a career, we give official mentors. So I have the pleasure of having official mentors, some really high up in the management board, but also I realized the power and the fun it is to have a mentor to discuss things. So I picked myself quite a bit of unofficial mentors where I would reach out to people and say, I like the way you're doing things. Would you mind getting into exchange? And I would like to discuss a couple of things from my personal or professional perspective at the moment. And therefore, I think I had a really couple of mentors, and on all different levels, I would say. It really depends on what you're aiming for, what you're achieving. I had great female mentors. I had great male mentors. I had people way above the hierarchy when I was in that position, but I also had, right now, for example, I have a reverse mentor also.
Yeah.
So I think mentoring is really a powerful tool to bring up diversity.
Yeah. Okay. And you are a mentor for young talent, especially female talent through Bosch. Now, is there a particular personal experience or incident that maybe spurred you on to be a real advocate for young female talent?
Well, I think I very often saw young women doing a really excellent job, but fighting hard to stand up for themselves, to be very confident and say, I did this, I achieved that, and I deserve that. And especially when they're in that situation where it's right about the decision, do I want to have family or not? I very often see excellent women backing up and said, maybe not now, and maybe I want to have kids. And I myself, I do have 2 little kids, and my husband and I manage very well. Of course it is challenging, and of course it's not a piece of cake, but I think it's really feasible. And so I think this is that, I think it would be really a waste for our company and also for society to lose those women during those times. So what I'm trying to do strongly is encourage these women that it is possible, that there is no reason to back down and to actually say, no, not at the right time. So I really try to give them tailwinds and encourage them in proceeding a career, because I'm a true believer that you can have a family and you can have a career at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Now, as a female professional yourself and as a manager also, how important do you personally think it is for women to get into STEM careers?
I think it's really essential because, as I mentioned, we would waste a lot of potential that we're having. There are so many smart, talented, gifted women out there. I think if we in the STEM world don't make use of that huge human potential that we're having, that's the one thing, that's from a society perspective, but also from a personal perspective, STEM jobs are really fun. If you're a curious person, if you want to try out things, if you're really interested how things work, this is the place to be. So I think also from a personal perspective, I want to encourage also young girls to get into it and try it out. And then from a company perspective, I think it's crucial to have also women in those positions, because especially the world of IT and digitization gets so much more complex, and it will be so dominating in the next few years. We need the female perspective. We need the different backgrounds. We need the different ideas and the creativity to actually make that happen.
Okay. What top 3 changes? Sorry, let me rephrase that one. What do you think are the top 3 changes that the technology, including automotive industry as a whole, could make to make life easier for women who pick these careers?
I think first of all, we have to really make role models more present. As you mentioned before, the automotive industry is still a very technology-driven and very often, at least in Europe, male-dominated industry. So I think we need to show women that it's feasible. I know it's a very strong motivator for women to see that others did it and that actually it is feasible. That's the first thing. Second thing is the mentoring that you just mentioned. Not only make the people visible that it's possible, but also encourage them, coach them, to provide sparring and provide exactly that and engagement with them to actually make it work. And then I think we have to also get more flexible in working models, which make it easier for women to work. In this sense, I think Corona has been a huge accelerator for more remote working, for greater life-work balance. Although I don't want to say that made lives easier, but at least combining work and private life made it much more easier if you can work remotely from home. So, and not only the remote work, but also different work models where you can shift, where you can go to part-time for 1 year or 2 years, but nevertheless pursue afterwards a strong career, and not being perceived as someone who doesn't want to pursue a career. So I think that are really points that need to change.
Yeah. Okay. And if companies are ready to embrace these changes, and let's just talk about the automotive industry in particular for the moment, are they ready to embrace female leaders?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. What more of course.
Well, I've seen so many people taking more active roles in STEM positions and also in the automotive industry. I think, especially in those times of changes, to me, change is always an opportunity to question what has been the status quo, to actually rethink in new ways. And I think the automotive industry needs the women right now exactly to think outside that box and to rejuvenate itself in a matter of to manage this huge transformation this whole industry is in. So I'm deeply convinced that it's not a matter if they're ready for it, they truly need it.
Yeah. Okay. And so do you think our world would be any different if more women worked in STEM?
Yeah, it is. For sure, it will make a difference. I think it will be much more creativity, it will be more innovation, it will be more perspective. As I mentioned earlier, user centricity and understanding what your user in the end wants is such a crucial part in our days. I mean, technology is always an important part, but just a discussion today with a couple of colleagues said, what is the most successful app in an app store? It's not the one that has the best technology, right? It's the one that combines a good go-to-market, it combines a good user understanding, it provides a good user experience. So it's really, technology, of course, is important, but on top of that, there are so many things important to succeed in our world. And I think especially in the automotive industry, getting closer to customers, getting closer into their heads and their understanding, I think that really is a point where we, as females, and especially as a diverse group of people, not only females, but also people from different cultural background, can provide helpful perspectives in designing products and services.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Now, as we mentioned previously, you've had a 16-year-long stint in Robert Bosch, and throughout your career, you've worked in different areas of the business. Now, would you say that the environment has changed since you started out in your career?
Yeah, the environment definitely has changed. I think also in society, we saw a lot of changes. I think the whole industry overall became more emotional. Emotions, when I started out my career, was not really a part, but if you look at the communication of and the marketing of companies, it's becoming much more emotional. I think that is one of the drivers. The second thing is that I can tell that also society changed. It has, for example, in Germany, we've passed a law a couple of years ago where you would actually get more money if your partner stays home with a baby as well. And that changed fundamentally the perception of men and their role, and also sharing responsibilities in households and taking care of family. And for example, among my colleagues, it's really very, very common that both partners would stay home with their newborn for a certain month. And I think the acceptance increased for part-time jobs. And also I luckily see more and more young women coming up, being more ambitious, asking for things, not taking things for granted how they've been done in the past. So yes, I think there is a huge drive in there at the moment and good dynamics in the right direction.
Perfect. And that's exactly what we want to hear. Now, what advice would you give to women who maybe aren't working in a company that is so progressive and is facing difficulties at work, which is stemming from her being female? How would you advise someone to start that conversation with their management, or even just the workplace in general?
I would, before starting conversations, I would actively look for mentors and coaches. Either in your own company, I think that is quite good because then people understand the surroundings you're in, but also externally, build up networks, reach out to other women. There are so many circles popping up, and now especially in Corona times, it's much easier to join because many of them have online events. Get connected, get the advice of other women, collect what they've been done, collect best practices, and then find your way, what applies to you and to your situation. That is the one thing I would advise. And this exactly reaching not only out to mentors, being above you in the hierarchy, but also to peers. Let's see what they can do for you. Maybe they have good hints what to do it. And last but not least, I would say, be self-confident. If you don't ask for things, things won't happen. I think this is a typical mistake I very often see in females, that they're doing a fantastic job and that they're hoping that somebody recognizes it and will, like, it's almost like the prince kissing the princess. But that very rarely is. If you're lucky, that might happen, but there's a good chance that will not happen. So speak up for yourself. Make sure people know what you're doing. And if you want to do something different in your career, speak to your supervisors, because very often, my experience at least, is that the supervisors are not even aware of the wishes of their female employees. So it is about getting active and getting into the driver's seat.
Yeah. Okay. And what would your message be to young women who are maybe seeking or are interested in exploring a job in automotive, but may feel discouraged from joining because of some of the misconceptions about the industry?
I would look in there more closely. I think gathering more information, either in networks, like really talking face-to-face to people, but also I would check out on networks like LinkedIn What kind of people are working in that company? What is the reputation of that company? So I think the automotive industry is at the moment one of the hottest places to be, honestly. Despite the reputation in the media might not be the greatest, but just imagine this industry is undergoing a huge transformation. And I'm not sure how often you will have the opportunity to shape such a strong transformation and to shape the way forward for an industry that has to rebuild itself, not completely, but many parts of it to stay competitive. And I think that is a great opportunity at the moment to actually try to make that happen.
Okay. And you mentioned there as well, obviously, the automotive industry is an exciting industry to join at the moment. Definitely can agree. Electric vehicles, smart cities, we're going to have it all very soon. I mean, what's your opinion on the future of mobility? Obviously, we've had fully autonomous vehicles thrown out there, smart cities, but what do you think the future of mobility is going to be maybe in the next 10, 15 years?
Well, first of all, I think the future of mobility will be much more diverse than we have seen it in the past. You will have, I personally believe that you will have, for the next 10 years at least, many different systems working parallel to each other. You will have electric cars, you will have diesel cars, you will have gasoline cars. You will have people that don't even bother doing their driver's license anymore because they're just using public transportation or scooters or whatever. So I think you will see a huge mix. And I think this mix will not go away. I think the variety we're offering, it will become more and more. When it comes to cities, it will be very interesting. I think they face an interesting challenge of reaching carbon neutrality. And that will be for the cities quite a tough target to reach, but I think there will be a constant working towards that direction. On the other hand, I think also coming back again to technology, where the automotive industry has been traditionally very strong, I think once we keep it open, which technology really wins and society supports this and politics support this, we will see a lot of innovation coming through the automotive industry. And I personally, I don't think that the car will vanish anytime soon. I don't think so. There are too many use cases that are hard to cover without a car at the moment. Just my own use case being a mother of 2 small kids and not living super in the center of New York City, right? So there will be a lot of people that will still need the car for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Now with your career at Robert Bosch, now going back to your personal career, as we did mention, you've worked in many different divisions, power tools, now into automotive. How would you compare the other divisions that you've worked in to the automotive division?
I would say that I worked in, before that, especially in the power tools division, for example, you're working closer to the customer. And Robert Bosch is in the automotive division, a tier 1 supplier. So that means always between us and the customer, or the user actually, there is at least one more tier. And I think the automotive industry in general can learn from those businesses and industries closer to the user, how to open up and how to be more user-centric, how to apply use cases, how to engage with people, and how to transform that into products. I think on the other hand, it's the innovation and technology drivenness that this industry is having should definitely be sustained, because I think that gives it a huge competitive advantage. Also, the ability to manufacture with a real reliable level, because I mean, you don't want to see any of that jeopardized when you're sitting in a car driving.
Very true. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's really about picking the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Okay. Now, as you said, you're a mentor for young talent, especially young female talent. At Bosch, is there any other initiatives that you were driving to promote diversity and inclusion outside of this?
Well, on a personal level, I'm always actively seeking for female talents when I have a job posting, to make sure that we have them on the list as well. And I actively engage in a network we call Global Female Leaders at Bosch, where we have many women, female leaders, and trying to bring forward network engagement and also help our company to come up with new measures how to drive diversity. For example, we created a great format that's called the lunchbox in Corona times, where we felt that a lot of people, especially females, are in a lot of stress handling everything homeschooling, household, working, and everything. So we felt that there's a necessity to provide inspiration. So we came up with a very light-footed format of presenting topics like how resilience, topics about how to do social media networking, topics about how to continue your own learning journey, and those topics in an easy way format. That's, for example, one of the things I engage with. And as you mentioned, I'm mentoring and coaching a lot of younger talents to actually make sure that they get heard, they have a voice, and that to give them the required tailwinds to actually move forward. And then I'm always trying to tell my own story, where I want to encourage women that it is feasible to combine both careers and family, and that even in technology-driven industries.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. That comes to the end of our questions. Now, Katharina, I didn't put this in the questions that I sent you, but just to finish off, to make it a little bit of fun at the end, there is a game that I play with all of my guests. So what it is I'm going to go through the alphabet, and you have to name a car brand that begins with that letter, and we'll see how far you can get. I had Evelyn from Bridgestone. She only got to E. So we'll see how far we can get. So if we start with A.
A is Alfa Romeo.
B.
BMW.
C.
Chrysler.
D.
Daimler.
E.
E. I'm struggling here.
That's right. We got to E. So far, no one's got past E. The only thing that I can find is a truck company called 𝗂𝘂𝗺𝗂. So I'm still waiting for someone to know truck companies. But at the minute, you're top draw with Evelyn. So we said whoever wins it at the end of the podcast, we'll send them a prize. We'll have to figure out what it is, but I'll be sure to let you know if you are a winner. But we just need to find someone that can get past E. Well, Katharina, thank you so much. I mean, is there, before obviously we cut filming, is there anything else that you wanted to discuss that maybe I missed at all, or anything else that you would like to say?
I'm thinking about it. What else would I say? Well, I'm just looking through my notes that I made in preparation of that. No, I think I'm fine. I think I mentioned the points that I wanted to make. Maybe to also encourage, also to give maybe not from only from my personal perspective, or most of the points I've mentioned, but also maybe to give it a point about all the diversity measures we're taking at our company, independent of my personal engagement. I would like to point out here. And that is that Bosch always has been very much engaged with cultural diversity. That is one of our 7 core values that we have all the years. And for us, diversity is females is one perspective, but it's also about different cultural backgrounds. It's about your sexual orientation. It's about age and generations. So we take diversity from a very broad view, and I think we have won the family prize a couple of years ago because I think we're engaged in many different activities how to bring diversity forward. And are we there yet? No, of course not, because this will be a long journey for everyone. But I think we can be pretty proud and happy about the achievements we've made so far with different working models, ability to work remote, with having so many international teams working on it. So I think that was something really I wanted to stress, and also maybe to stress again the foundation that Robert Bosch belongs to, which I think is also making a big difference for us as a company to work for, because that gives a lot of purpose. And I think that may be one of the points where you mentioned earlier, why would you recommend to women why to go to automotive? And I would say this is also not only for the people, but also look for the culture in companies. And for example, Robert Bosch belonging to a foundation, donating pretty much the whole EBIT we're making to purposeful projects, that personally makes me always very proud, and it's one of the reasons why I just stated several times to stay with the company.
Yeah, okay. And what does the so obviously at the minute you are globally responsible VP of IT. What does the future hold for you at Bosch, Katharina? I'm intrigued.
Well, the future holds for me right now just to shape the IT landscape of Bosch and really help this business grow, and especially help the mobility sector grow its ambitious plans towards the future. That will be my challenge for the next years. I'm really looking into, because I have a great team with fun people to work with coming from all parts of the world. And so, yeah, I think this is challenge enough to actually make it happen, to make sure we save the costs where they need to be saved, and to make sure we innovate where innovations are needed.
I mean, as you said, with the amount of people that you're looking over, I'm sure your work schedule is not quiet, to say the least. So.
Not really.
Yeah. Well, Katharina, thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. I know you have a busy schedule, so again, I can't say thank you enough.
Thank you very much for taking your time, and the professional preparation was really great. I really appreciate it. And also the great interview was really fun talking to you, Aubra.